There we are. Dana Banana, this mic is all yours.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Lynn. Hey, Mickey. Hey, Linda and Elizabeth. I appreciate you guys being here. Yeah, I think it's been about 6 weeks. No, I think it's been about 7 weeks. I think 6 weeks ago was when I had to not be here so I could do a virtual chat with the anesthesiologist. It's before I even go any further, I will start this with the same kind of, I don't know if it's a prayer, it's a line from the text. It's supposedly the line that everybody's really afraid to hear, but I don't think I'm afraid to hear it because I think I resonate with it. But because it still seems to be my experience. But that line from chapter 31 in self concept versus self, I do not know the thing I am, and therefore I do not know what I am doing, where I am, or how to look upon the world or on myself. And definitely has been, it felt true for me from the first time I read it. In the last, I don't know, 5.5 weeks, 6 weeks or so, it definitely continues to show itself. Um, as far as the recovery goes, it's been about 5.5 weeks that I've since I've had this. But for anybody who hasn't listened or doesn't know or anything, I was told in September following an ultrasound. It was my second one. It was my second one in a year or something to that. It was, a year later. Gynecologist had changed, and after an ultrasound, the new gynecologist had noticed that I had had a rather large, like 12 centimeter fibroid in the uterus. And whereas the first gynecologist was taking kind of a wait and see approach, the second one this year was like, I want this out of you. And so it was like, okay, and figured I was going to go in for what he called I guess a total hysterectomy, where they take almost everything, leave the ovaries, but get an MRI first just to make sure that there wasn't anything wonky going on. And figured, no, there's probably nothing wonky, nothing wonky. The MRI comes back and it's like suspicion for, I think it was leiomyosarcoma. And so I had to have the surgery done at a cancer hospital. And so it was really one of those, I don't know what I'm actually going into surgery for. This could be just a hysterectomy, or this could be the start of some other entire thing. Don't know. And so, as it turned out, this mass was benign, but the recovery for it has definitely been probably a little bit more than I thought it would be. I've never had, other than a tonsillectomy when I was 5, I've never had surgery. So it's been a thing. And the one thing I think that I could probably say is that I've had an opportunity within this time to really notice how controlling I I am. um, I've heard Mickey say over lots of her talks, both private and in the Zoom talks, she's made fun of, like, one example of, she was, I think, at a restaurant with a friend or something like that, and it was something about the way he was eating, and she could hear her judgments going on, and it was like, eating, you're doing it wrong or something. And so for me, I can so completely relate with that, because to me it was kind of like body healing, you're doing it wrong, you know. So I've had to notice that. I've had to notice how much I don't want to receive help. I don't want to allow myself to just be held or supported. And I'll probably also mention that I've been feeling pretty raw over the last, especially the last couple of days. But if I if my voice cracks or it breaks, kind of like it is now, then just understand that I'm probably in a very raw and emotional place. And I'm not sure how much actual teaching I can do, but I can probably be very honest in saying that I guess I'm in that place where I'm kind of, um, the course says everything is either love or a call for love. I guess this is the call for love time. So that's probably where I am. And it's been, I think my nerves, yeah, I think my nerves, I think my entire nervous system is just very raw. And I can't not feel that way. Um, and it's coming out in all these different types of forms. It's been coming out in a lot of triggers. It's been coming out in sadness and just a lot of shadow material surfacing, hypersensitivity, lack of trust, and seeing like firsthand how all of the things that I've complained about over the years, I'm not getting enough of this, I'm lacking in that, blah, blah, blah. I can see that I'm kind of keeping it all for myself. And it's never a conscious thing. You know, you hear in a lot of the new age communities and so on and so forth, or at least I did, that we attract everything that's going on in our lives to make it sound like we are guilty and responsible for our own suffering. And that is not what this is about, but more like I can see how a part of me that is not in time and space has written out a script, and I don't remember the script, but it was a script that was done from a different mind or a higher mind. And it's like I'm just the character, but I think I think I am, this character is real, but I am this character that's kind of playing all of this out, having completely forgotten that I'm the author of this script. And I feel like a victim of it rather than the one that actually wrote it here, and can see myself as the author of it, if that makes any sense. And I can see how all of this stuff is probably here, and I'm going through it, all the feelings, all of this raw stuff. Um, but it's not because I'm a victim of it, although it sure feels that way, but more like this has been made to order. And now I'm seeing how ridiculous the order was, because it was coming from a mind that believes in guilt. And the only thing, my only goal ever at this point is to be able to see myself as innocent, because that's the only way I'll ever be able to see you, anybody, as innocent. And that is the only thing that I'm ever going to want to do for the rest of this life, because anything else is a terrible disservice to God's son and humanity, aka the sonship. So it's just been a really, really strange time, and seeing all of this stuff, and in seeing that I have felt like a victim of so many things for so long. But I can see I don't want to receive. I can complain about scarcity, but I don't want to be given anything. I can complain about feeling abandoned and not having any help, but I don't want to ask for help, and I don't want to receive it if it shows up. There's guilt that shows up. There's an undeservingness and an unwillingness, unworthiness, all of this stuff that tends to pop up. So over the last 5.5 weeks, where really I've been required to do absolutely nothing, and there's been nothing I really can do, right? This was an open abdominal surgery. This was not laparoscopic. Um, this was definitely more of the invasive kind, and it requires a much more strict healing process. And I basically just kind of been holed up in the guest room, um, where I'm spending the days, just not being able to do anything, but still feeling that pull of, I need to go do this, I need to go do that, I need to blah, 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 blah. It could be anything, right? And even to the point of, I don't want to allow my husband to help me in this way or that way or whatever, because I need to be the one to do it. And I can feel that thing, that thought or whatever it is, belief back there of you need to earn your way in the world. You can't just be, you can't just relax, you can't just be still and allow this healing process to happen. You need to be in control of it. You need to be in charge of it. You need to be questioning everything. Um, so it's just amazing how here this medical situation shows up, and all I am required to do is show up, let the professionals do what they're supposed to do, let the person who takes care of me do what he is supposed to do. And I can't even do that. I need to try to take the load off of everybody as best I can and try to take on as much as I can, because that is just the belief back there. And so I've seen it. I've seen it. And I've also seen that I cannot change it. All I can do is look at it and remind myself that all I am meant to do is to look and wait and judge not. But I cannot, it's become abundantly clear to me this year. I actually can't change any of my thoughts. I can't change any of my beliefs. I can't do it by myself. All I can do is hand them over. And that's really even just a term. I don't even know what that means, but it's as close to a term as I can get for, I guess, what my role is here. Nikki just said, doing for ourselves amplifies the expression of separation. Yep. Yep. And I feel like, I guess I kind of looked at this whole, once I knew I was going to have this surgery. And again, like I said, I've never gone through anything like this before. Um, I mean, the closest I've ever come to needing to rest was when I broke my foot when I was in my very early 20s. And come to think of it, I didn't even wait for that to heal. I actually took my own cast off at 4 weeks and went on about my business. I don't even know if I went to the follow up doctor's appointment for that, or if I did, I think I went and he was pissed off, but what was done was done. So even back then, with a cast on my leg, I couldn't even let that just ride itself out. I had to get involved and decide when I was done and then actually take the stupid thing off myself, which took a while, but it was, I did it. So clearly I'm not good at letting myself just sit back and be taken care of. And what does that actually mean? Mickey just mentioned in the chat, it's like the ultimate expression of separation. It is. But what does that actually mean? And that's a good question. I don't know, but it's just interesting. I don't have the answers for anything, but it's just interesting to see how much one can be given a very simple set of instructions. I mean, it's pretty black and white. Just rest. Just rest and don't do anything. And here are some signs that you will need to look for. These are the only signs that something is going wrong. And if none of these signs are happening, if you're not experiencing any of these symptoms, then you just need to lay back and trust. And in the meantime, I've had none of the signs or symptoms. So hence nothing has actually gone wrong, but there's something in my mind that does not want to let that be. So it's just been interesting to see in this assignment, so to speak, of stillness, that my mind does not want to be still. The body doesn't want to be still, even though it can't do anything. And I have not wanted to let myself just sit back, be taken care of, and receive. But yet I've got enough energy to complain about how I don't feel supported and I don't feel well taken care of and all of this stuff. Like I said before, I am doing this to myself, and there's not much I can do about it except to just notice it. And so I know Lynn had just put something in the chat here. Let me see. We're all here because we want to be in charge. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, I mean, I've noticed that along with that, I have noticed that I can accept all of that and it won't change all of the messages showing up in my mind. It won't change the belief. It won't change anything. So that has kind of been my experience over the last, I don't know, 6, 7 weeks or so. Everything about life feels different. Um, yeah, everything about life has felt different. I think I had some kind of expectation that I would go into this surgery and somehow come out on the other side, maybe transformed or fixed or healed or something to that effect. And pretty much all I am seeing right now is no, you're just sitting in your own you're having to be still and witness all of the noise in your mind, probably more than ever, and feel it more intensely. And it's like I said earlier, it's just been very raw and not something I can hide, not something I can sugarcoat. But I've had some interesting epiphanies or insights over the last couple of weeks that perhaps I will share with you because it's interesting to see a symbol of a thought that you didn't realize was there. So um, I've had a lot of triggers, going on. Again, I think it's just the time for that. I know I'm not the only one. Insofar as people I've spoken to and just things I've noticed, I know I am not the only one feeling a higher intensity, kind of an energy or an atmosphere out there going on, triggers feeling a little bit more in your face, things just feeling more intense. So I know I'm not the only one who's felt that way. Um, but a week or two ago, I something came along and triggered me, and it was a small thing, but I've gotten to realize that there are no small upsets. It's exactly like the course says. They're all equally disturbing to my peace of mind. And insofar, I guess, of contrast learning, any amount of discomfort or a lack of peace has become like a big deal, right? Like none of it gets shoved under the rug at this point. It's all acute, even if it's mild. And in this case, it was kind of a mild little trigger, but it was something that really shook me up. It was enough to really disturb my peace of mind. And so this time of the year, in the back of our house, I've noticed it gets a lot brighter. The room that I've been hanging out in is probably the brightest room in the entire house, and especially now. And I had noticed that after that trigger, I had come in here, I had already kind of dimmed the blinds so that I could watch something on the TV, because, to just avoid the glare. And then I went out to the kitchen, got triggered, came back in the room, and suddenly I just felt this strong desire to hide. It was this I need to close the rest of these blinds and just cower down and hide from the world. That's how I felt. Just like I said, raw. Um, Oh, and Lynn had put in the chat lots of solar activity. Yeah, lots of solar activity, seismic activity. There's been a lot of crazy activity, which, I know we've all talked about over the weeks. They're symbols, to me anyway. They represent symbols. And so here's another symbol. So here I am feeling very, very triggered, come back into this room. It just, the whole thing made me feel like I was so triggered over something so small, but I was so triggered that it was again like, gotta close all the blinds. I just want to shut the world out and I want to shut myself in, so everything just get out except for me in this hold up space right now. And this image showed up in my mind of, or not even an image, more of a message. It was a message that had kind of shown up in my mind. And the message was like, It's too bright. I can't stand how bright it is outside. It's blinding me. It's going to annihilate me. And it was like in my mind, this image had kind of shown up of just in the presence of this very, very bright light, just kind of falling to my knees and cowering because the light was too much for me to bear. And all at once, like I kind of I think I may have sucked in my breath. I don't know. But it was like, oh no shit. This is a symbol of me, the mind, being afraid of the light, right? It's in the text. I've heard Ken talk about it, Ken Wapnick. I've heard him talk about it constantly. He's always referring to this, you know, something about, God will strike you blind, the light, God will strike you blind. And in this, just in this little vision, in this experience, that's how it felt, right? I felt like this was a symbol that I'm afraid of the light, and too much of it is going to strike me blind and annihilate me. And that's exactly what it was showing me. And it was just very interesting to see it there. um, Another interesting symbol that I had noticed that showed up was I decided to rewatch Mary Poppins, the 1964 version of Mary Poppins, which was absolutely lovely and wonderful. And I had not seen that since I was a kid. And I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you guys have seen that movie, but I had completely forgotten that there was not just one, there's like two scenes in the movie, but I noticed it with the first one where they go and visit, I don't know, they go and visit some man. And supposedly, they were going to visit him because there was something wrong with him. And so Mary Poppins and Dick Van Dyke's character, I kind of forgot what his name was, maybe Bernie or so, I don't remember. And the two kids, they enter the man's house and they're looking around and they realize he's up on the ceiling, and he's hovering up on the ceiling in his chair because he was laughing. And in this scene, it was like Dick Van Dyke wound up joining in the laughing. And so he kind of floated up to the top. And then the kids started laughing. And so they floated up to the top. And then, of course, Mary Poppins, who to me, well, while I was watching this movie, she represented the Christ, right? Mary Poppins was the Christ because Mary Poppins was just this figure who was like completely neutral. She was very firm, but she was knowing. She seemed to have an understanding of things and an ability to maneuver reality that came from outside of time and space. And she was able to sort of take on the character and insert herself into this family. And apparently, she has done this sort of thing before. And what she brings with her is just this ability to be alive, right? Her role in everybody's lives in this movie was to just snap out of the I'm trying to think of the word of this what would be a word for like a hamster wheel, this kind of repetitive, almost hypnotic humdrum pace of life, right? So this was kind of her role. So she was able to just sort of float up to the top, and they're all hanging up on the mundane. Yeah. Thank you, Lynn. And they're all, and yes, wonderful movie. Yeah, that was a really great movie. They're all hanging up at the top, hanging out at the top, giggling and laughing and happy. And the thought just showed up. This is just a symbol of the Son of God. I can't do it with all those negatives, so I'll just say it as it would be. This is like a symbol of the Son of God finally remembering to laugh, and how it was a symbol of, in remembering to laugh, we were no longer subject to the rules and laws of the world, right? So in that case, the rule law of the world would have been gravity. And because this man was just giggling, and those who entered his presence and joined him in that, none of them were subject to the laws of the world, which were grounding and binding and limiting and restricting, aka gravity, right? And how even toward the end, and this is actually the first time I realized that Dick Van Dyke did not just play, the guy who was Mary Poppins' friend, but he also played the old man banker. So he actually played both roles. I didn't know that until this time. But how, if you remember the scene where, you know, the father takes the two kids to the bank, and there was a whole thing about, the Toppins. I guess that was this kid's his coins, and what he was going to use the coins for, and what he wanted to use the coins for was to feed the birds, which was a whole song that Mary Poppins had sung to them like the night before. And to me, the representation was, if you're given abundance, if you have some form of abundance, take it and use it and feed the birds, meaning extend it, give it away, right? Extend this stuff, sustenance to your brothers and sisters, right? And how he was being guided instead by his dad, who was stuck in the mundane, day to day matrix sort of, save and be serious and take everything seriously and make sure you can accumulate as much as possible and all of this stuff. He was being guided instead to put it in the bank and invest it, and how that whole thing actually turned very, very ugly. It didn't work out very well for anybody, but it was just an interesting symbol, even in that, as far as what we're guided to do every day by the world, which is to control and hang on to and gather. And it's all based on scarcity, and it's all based in fear, and it's all based in we must take all of this very, very, very seriously. And the movie is telling us that no, no, the being within us that can rearrange time and space, so to speak, that can take the mundane and make it sparkle, is the Christ in us, right? And that the only difference between us and Mary Poppins was that she just didn't believe it. She didn't believe in all the stuff that we were believing in, but our belief in how seriously we should be taking this world was the very thing that kept it sad and distracted. Um, once these key characters finally remembered to laugh, that was when everything was transformed in their lives. Mary Poppins got to go back to where she came from, and what she left was this family that had been pretty much all split apart. They were all kind of living their own separate lives. And, at the end of the movie, they're all, let's go fly this kite, when they're doing this together and they're happy. And it was all because they finally remembered to laugh. I've been having a very, very difficult time remembering to laugh. Um, it was such a beautiful movie, and those were very interesting symbols that I picked up from the movie that I've never noticed before. But a very interesting pointer. And again, I haven't actually been able to change it or fix it on my own, but I keep forgetting to laugh, or I keep remembering not to laugh, however it is that you want to word it. And that is what has been keeping me, that is what keeps us all just bound by the world's laws, by man's laws. And it's just like I said, just that interesting reminder. Um, Personally, I feel that all of this stuff continues to come to the surface because it's all supposed to just be released. Forgiveness is our only function here. And it's really hard to do when things are intense. And I feel like things have just been extremely intense. But in that remembering, once in a while, even if that's all that appears to come up, just the once in a while, allow this to be here exactly as it is. Allow this to come up. You've been carrying this for years. You've been for decades, right? Carrying all of this heaviness, all of this darkness, everything that you've ever forgotten about yourself. You've forgotten that you're an author of this instead of the character in the whole thing. That you wrote this script, whether you remember it or not, and that your only job is to remember that you're a decision maker, right? And to choose again, to look and to wait and to judge not. Um, that might actually be that decision to remember to laugh at this tiny mad idea. So this is pretty much what it has been over the last several weeks. But I feel like the last several weeks have sort of been an accumulation of what it has been over the last year or so. Just a lot of sitting back and looking, and with everything, including all the hormonal changes that I was already kind of going through at this age, but now seems to have been accelerated from this procedure that I've had done. You know, the I'm hot, no, I'm cold, no, I'm hot, no, I'm cold. I mean, it's a blast. It's fun. No, it's not. And if you can hear this, I've got the little fan going on because I just got really hot. But before that, it was pretty cold. Um, this is what it has been. So I'm not sure what more I can really say right now. And it'll probably be I'll probably take you up on allowing this to be a shorter talk, Lynn. Because, yeah, I've just been very raw and, and tired. And I don't think I've really been able to understand how much healing there must be going on beneath the surface, other than I will probably share that I think the healing from the surgery is also very symbolic in form of the healing that must be going on in the mind. Um, I mean, again, there's nothing more to be done except to just allow what has already been done to do its magic, to do its work, and for me to just kind of stay out of the way. Right? The doctor came in and removed the source of the upset in the system, right? My only job is to stay out of the way and allow all things to be exactly as they are, right? That's it. Well, I've already given Holy Spirit permission to come into my mind, and I look at every thought and every feeling and every interaction with Holy Spirit and basically have given permission. Hey, I will look at this with you, and I'm handing it over to you for correction, right? That's how I practice it for now. That's what resonates with me. And my only job is to stand back and get out of the way and let Holy Spirit do its job. Um, this has probably been the most important and the most repetitive type of message that I keep getting, and the one I've probably had the most resistance to. Um, and then Nikki put right inner and outer healing go in tandem. Yeah, that's exactly what this has felt like. This has felt like, a very physical symbol of healing in the mind. And so I've probably discussed it before. It's something I probably have to get brushed up on again. But in this case, for me, second chakra area, the pelvic area, it carries creativity. It sort of the birthing of your ideas, because that's where the womb is located. And there's other things that we tend to carry there. And for me, I have felt so blocked for so long that it was interesting to see that there was technically a giant mass that was actually blocking all sorts of things from happening. But it is still in the healing process, and my only job is to just sit back and let it do its thing without my interference. But the one thing that I have also noticed is how much I used to mentally and emotionally abuse this body. And what I mean by that is I hated it. Like I hated it. I ugh. I'm sure a lot of people out there can probably relate to that sort of thing, right? Like I had eating disorders when I was younger, and those were all forms of self-punishment, and it was that belief that I deserved it. Um, and I can't really even begin to express how much time I spent hating this body, just hating it. And now that it has gone through this surgery, and I guess just from everything that has been happening, while it's been very tempting to want to hate it, and I can definitely feel that I've noticed this. I hate this decision I made to be separate, and I hate the fact that it has, constituted and the belief in a body and all of the limitations and complications. And I mean, the human body is, gosh, it has a lot of complications. It really does. But it also has its own inherent healing ability. It's like it comes equipped with a bunch of problems, but it also comes equipped with all of its own healing capacity. And it's like if you just stay out of the way and maybe support it a little bit if you need to, give it some love and give it some care, and just kind of like with a plant, if you're planting something, it's like you don't want to hover over it, but if you completely, I don't, anyway, as far as all of the control and stuff goes, to just allow the body to do its thing, trust that it's got its own healing process, but this time to catch the hateful thoughts and just remember, I don't want to hate the body any more than I want to hate anything, right? It's all been coming up to the surface. It's all been incredibly triggering. But as far as the body goes, it's actually, I have felt that prompting to just be very, very gentle and very loving and just say, it's okay, honey, it's okay. You're healing, you're doing your thing, and I'm going to support you in every way I can. Whereas in all of the years prior, it's been very easy to have dark and abusive thoughts about this body because I resented the crap out of it. Now I think I'm just learning to care about it, to care for it, not to make it a thing, but to just let it communicate whatever it wants to communicate. And I will show up and I will meet it with love and I will meet it with care and I will continue to give it the message. It's okay for you to communicate with me. You're safe. Right? Kind of the way at this point I've given all of the messages in my mind, right? It's okay for you to communicate with me. Yes, I get it, it's painful. Yes, I guess I get this doesn't feel good, but I'm not looking to run from you or shut you up or make you wrong. Just be here as you are, and I will allow you to be seen, and I'll even be grateful for it. So this has pretty much been my last couple of weeks, or I don't know, several. It feels like a couple of weeks, but it's actually been several. And I have shown up to some of the group. I've shown up to some of the groups, but I have also noticed that within this time, I probably could have shown up to more of them, and there has just been this deep resistance to that, right? Like I was going to show up to the 7 o'clock last night, and I was in such a horrible, horrible mood. And all I could do was think, I know that these people in this group are so lovely and they're so wonderful and they're so willing to be helpful. And I should probably let them. But the only thing that I could think of was, I don't want to bring my darkness to their light. Right. So this is how I felt, and it's part of the reason why I kind of just haven't really joined a whole lot. I've still been feeling that need to isolate, and just sort of watching the shadow figures of my mind sort of dancing around, and I'm watching it, and that's about all I can do right now. So that's pretty much where I've been. Yeah, that's where I have been. And I don't know if anything that I have said has been helpful to anybody, but I do appreciate you letting me talk. I love you too, Mickey.
Thank you so much, Dana. Oh, yeah, no, it's wonderful. Everything you said, I was just fascinated. And yes, I mean, don't fight with yourself. Even, you know, you could be saying, well, it's the ego that's trying to keep me from joining with these people because it knows it will make me feel better. And if I feel better, then I won't pay attention to it. And you can think all kind of crap like that. The fact is, you're doing what you need to do to heal. And if if you needed to come in, you'd have been here. And if you needed to lay down and take a nap, that's what you'd be doing. It doesn't matter. You're doing the best thing you can for yourself in your situation. And I'm just I love hearing your process. It's wonderful. Because yes, here is a time where there is an immense change. I mean, seriously, even symbolically, what is it that makes a woman a woman? Think about that. Yeah, basically, you just went and had that removed. And so, and I'm not saying you're no longer a woman. I'm just saying you never were. I mean, that was a body part.
Yeah.
And, just recognizing that the body isn't defining what I am. It and the story that I'm telling myself, and oh my God, you're Mary Poppins. Oh Lord. When I was a kid in school, that's when it came out. You said 1964, so I must have been 11. And I went to a Catholic school, and for some reason they loved Mary Poppins. And we had the choir, and in the choir, we got all the songs, and we sang all the songs from Mary Poppins. So as you were talking about I love to laugh, ha 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 ha, that, and let's go fly a kite. I was thinking
Hmm.
about all those songs, and really thinking, what a wonderful preparation for recognizing these symbols, because once you start seeing the symbols in it, it becomes not just a a sweet movie about a magical character. It becomes like a story about me, a story about you, and I love it. Oh my gosh. Um, so this was a great talk. And maybe you were just holding it all in until you got here. But everything that you've said today it has moved me, touched me. Just I'm just so appreciative. So, and not to belabor this, but the whole talk about being reluctant to receive.
Yeah.
Holy cow. That is probably one of the most common things. I mean, I'm not belittling your experience. I'm just saying that is what I mean. The ego is like, no, I can do it. And the ego is also, if you are not willing to receive, then you absolutely cannot give, because
Yeah.
receiving are the same. And I had to learn that a very hard way. Um, uh, but also, I mean, it's a very easy way of recognizing that, people love you and want your best interest. They want to help you. And when you say, no, don't help me, that doesn't help them.
Right.
I know that from my own experience. You have to let them give. If you don't let them give, they can't receive either, because they're the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I've noticed over this year is that whether it's existential or ontological, just the that feeling of guilt for even existing. And in that guilt for even existing is that no, I don't want to let you help me. I don't want you to be put upon in any way because of me, right? That feeling.
Yeah.
It's that feeling of I'm wrong for being here at all, and I don't want you to suffer and pay for that. And you were absolutely right. It's impossible to give if you don't let yourself receive. And here I've also noticed how much I have that scarcity mindset, and it's dictated my entire life. But it's like I don't let myself receive much either. Although I will say on the occasions where I felt if I had it to give you and didn't feel that sense of loss or sacrifice, and it's like I love to give, like it makes me truly happy to be in that position. And I've been in positions temporarily that way, and I love it, right? But I'm not in that place most of the time. And that goes back to, I know I've set it up. It's in my code, right? It's in my personal code or in my script. It's in Dana's script, to have this experience. This is what her character is supposed to be playing out. Now I see it. And it's like, I can't change it. This is where all that self improvement and you can do it, be a better person kind of thing. And it's like, no, I can't change that. All I
Well,
can do is see it. Dana, can't change it. I
but you
can, I,
can't change it. I mean, do you still believe in Santa Claus? Did you ever
mm,
believe in Santa Claus?
well,
There,
I was raised Jewish, so Santa wasn't a big part of my repertoire.
okay, okay.
But I
Well,
think I think I was even at that age, I think I was disappointed to find out that it wasn't a thing. But what I was really upset about was realizing that the magic of Mary Poppins only existed on screen and that it was never going to exist in the world,
yeah,
especially my world.
yeah. So you made a belief or a thought that you had, you changed your mind about it. And because you can change your mind. And so, yeah, it may be that, you're uh you expect to experience scarcity, but also if you're reluctant to receive, then you just mentioned the joy that you feel when you can give.
Yeah,
How are you going to not allow me to have that same joy by not receiving from me? You know how good it makes you feel when you can help someone.
right.
Give that to someone else. Let them feel good about themselves. Because, I mean, don't be selfish. Seriously. Let people give to you.
Oh,
Because, yes, you're giving to them too. And giving and receiving are the same thing. Mickey, yeah, please go ahead.
I just gotta chime in on that one because I know when I try and help people and they say, "Oh no, it's okay," I feel a little let down. A friend of mine sprained her ankle the other day, and yesterday I texted her and I said, "So let me know if you need anything from the store." And she said, "Well, I've got to go pick up a prescription anyway, so I'm okay." And I was like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you let me go pick up both of them? You know, and we feel frustrated when we want to help people and they kind of push us off. And it's a gift. It's a gift to people to let them give help or, give of themselves, give anything. So just something to consider when I know we have resistance and we're like, nope, I would rather separate and I would rather, do it myself and I don't want to be a burden or, whatever the excuse is. But we keep forgetting that to let somebody be of assistance or help or give love or any any way that they want to extend themselves, if we block that, we're not allowing them that gift of service. So just because this just came up yesterday when that friend would not let me help her, I just wanted to put that out there. Thanks.
thank you, Mickey. Yeah, that is very helpful. And it kind of just, it made me think of that block that I have in that area. And I'm just wondering, or had. Now it's healing physically, which I guess it's healing in my mind too. Maybe in the one mind. Because I know it's not just my mind. I don't have a private mind, much as I'd like to think so. But maybe this is one of those things. And the whole world reflects lack and scarcity, right? This is what everything seems to be about. I remembered realizing a long time ago that the only reason that we as a society seem to want more and more and more and more is because of that scarcity mindset. Like there's just never enough. Um, and I'm kind of hoping, I'm glad that it has come to the surface for me. And I'm glad that you just said what you said, and that you said what you said, Lynn, because that's been a block for me, a huge block for me. And if it can be healed in my mind, seemingly individual mind, then maybe it can contribute to that healing in the one mind, just the belief, because it's a crappy one. And I don't know. I mean, here I love to watch stuff, and I've noticed. I remember a while back, even when I was watching Suits, right? I don't know if you guys ever saw that show. It's really good. You hear all these very successful, like beautiful people, right? All of them, in one way or another, right? They all just have it all to some degree or another. Yet it's never enough, and none of them were ever happy, like truly happy. And I remember I would watch this show and then others very similar, and it's like the more you have, and it's not the more you have, it's the more you believe you need to have, right? It had nothing to do with what they actually had. It was that belief. I need to have more. I need to have more. And none of them were ever happy. They could not have good relationships. They were everybody was constantly one upping each other. It was like, and I remember thinking, no matter how good you look or how nice your place is or what your job title is, there's always going to be somebody else out there with a better outfit, better spouse, better career, better title, better place, whatever. And it'll never be enough, and it will never stop, and you'll never really be special because everybody's going to have the same thing that you have. And how is there ever any happiness in striving so hard to keep getting? And all of the complications and the problems and the other ways that the guilt would come out. And again, not knocking wealth or anything like that. I don't think it had anything to do with wealth in and of itself, but it was that striving, that belief that the more I get, the better I'll be. And it's never enough. And that with it, all it ever produced was stress and problems and fights and complications and just unhappiness. So the entire mindset is painful. And what has been coming up within me is part of that. It's my own expression of it, so to speak, or my own experience and expression of it, which I'm thankful is coming to the surface. Because I think we're all seeing it. It's coming out in the forms of tariffs. It comes out in the forms of even prepping. I don't trust the world, so I need to have as much as I can all stockpiled up, in case disaster hits and blah, blah, blah. And it's a belief. And I think the longer that we hold on to the beliefs, the longer the world is going to mirror back to us the reasons why we have to have these beliefs. It's a constant cycle. So thank you for reminding me that I need to let people just give to me and not feel guilty about it. But again, that's my own personal experience of guilt over existing.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably a core guilt, right? That's a deep existential or ontological guilt, which has risen to the surface for me. It all comes from this belief that I shouldn't be here. I've taken something that doesn't belong to me. I first heard Ken say words like that when I would first listen to him speak, but now I can see how many of the just the thoughts and the beliefs in my mind seem to point to that, and how they always have. And it's interesting, just interesting. So yeah, thank
Oh, I
you.
love it. This is so beautiful, Dana. And yeah, just the whole that whole exploration of worthiness. And it does come, from that lack of communication or connection to God. If I recognized that I was totally connected to God and and I had all things, I would never be able to feel unworthy of it. But this is the ego. I- I- you're right, Dana will never have it because anything that is connected or identified with the ego is always going to feel unworthy, but you're not that. And oh, what a great conversation. I am just so happy you're back.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for holding my space and letting me just be absent for a while.
Yeah. Well, we love you. All right. I'm going to go ahead
Thank
and close
you.
this out. Thank you so much, Dana. It looks like
Thank
we
you.
made it the whole time.
Yeah.
And you were talking about Suits. Do you remember the theme song to that? The Greenback Boogie.
Yeah, yeah.
Take another piece of pie for your wife. I'm like,
Yeah.
every time I think about that, I think about that. And of course, she married the prince. So, uh,
Yeah. Oh, you
that's-
mean like, oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. She got the whole thing. Anyway, good. I saw him on Colbert the other night, and it cracked me up so bad. Anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Have a great rest of your weekend, and thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks, guys.